Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Good News Podcast with Jamie Holtom, but it's not just with Jamie Holtom today. It's with the whole Holtom family. And man, when you think about being a fly on the wall, sitting around when a family's having a conversation around the dinner table, that's actually exactly what this conversation is about today. I am really glad that you can join us for this. I was surprised. I was really surprised at some of the things that our kids reflected on and that they experienced through all these years through the carnival. I think you're going to really enjoy this episode. Let's dive in. Hey, welcome everybody to the Good News Podcast. And we don't have a special guest. We have 4 special guests today on the Good News Podcast. This is my wife, Katrina, and our children, Leah, Cameron, and Caleb. And we're going to talk about all things Carnival today. This is cool to have a conversation that we've had many times around our table and in our vehicle as we've traveled over the last 20 years. And guys, I think a great place to start, which is almost an unfair question in some ways because you didn't really know Lucas. You weren't, only Leah was even born and just a few weeks old before he passed away. But we've talked so much about Lucas, and he's been such a part of the carnival that's been all part of lifting up his memory and who he was. So it would be cool to hear from you guys. What are your reflections, your memories of what you've heard, your sense of Lucas and who he was?
Yeah, well, I don't want to isolate myself because I think you've said there's a piece of all of us that kind of Lucas had as well. But for my case, I think it was always kind of, especially when I was younger, he said we were similar just in how kind of happy we both were all the time. Yeah. I can think of one picture of Lucas throwing the rock and, I can think of a few pictures of myself doing that as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's cool of you guys always telling us that.
Right.
That we're alike.
Yeah. In fact, there was a time where I mixed up your names quite several times in a very short period of time where I would call you Lucas by accident.
Yeah. Just your kind of, that nature and very kind of just comfortable and pretty even.
Yeah. I mean, you say happy, Caleb, but I was almost thinking that sort of calm, peaceful nature, that sort of go with the flow. From what I've heard of Lucas in just his 2 years, he seemed to have that calm, peaceful, joyful nature, just was pretty content and at peace with everything that was going on. And Caleb, you definitely had that, especially as a kid. I mean, I remember when you were a baby and I could just pull you around and play laundry bins and put you in closets and stuff, and you wouldn't really care. And it sounds like Lucas would have been kind of like that and probably would have had that same nature even if he was, I guess he would be 23 now. I feel like he'd still bring that sort of peace and calmness into our family dynamic.
Yeah, definitely. And I totally agree with Caleb. I feel like he would be a combination of the 3 of us.
Yeah.
A little bit, because I definitely related to him in the way of sports, and he definitely was interested in that, and that's something that I love. So
yeah, and he liked music too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Loved certain songs and singing and dancing and stuff.
Yep.
So
exactly. So just bits and pieces of all of us in there.
Yeah.
I think an interesting topic, which probably don't have time for right now, probably lead to the dinner table talking later, is whose side Lucas would be on in an argument.
Oh, let's talk there. No, let's do that right now. Let's do that right now. Okay, but let's face it, guys. The best one to start this part, I think, is Mom.
Well,
Right,
that requires me to
question.
have to think. That's hard. I don't know.
I think we all agreed that me and Lucas were most alike, so just
I feel like he would just be the mediator.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
That would choose sides.
Yeah,
No,
I think he would be one to.
I feel like Lucas would be on my side. I feel like
This is
this
is hilarious
because I really feel like me and Lucas would just be bros, we'd be friends. So he's gonna take my
Wouldn't
side.
we all?
But I don't know, brothers compared to brother and
Brothers.
sister. We just have that
I don't know
set.
what
Okay,
you're
but me and Lucas are closer in age than Caleb and Lucas would be. So
I don't know. I just feel like with his nature, I don't know if he would like. I mean, we're all competitive. I feel like that's just like attached to the Holtom name. But like, I don't know. I just can't see him being as like aggressively competitive.
There would definitely not be a mediator. Like he would not try to
be on everybody's side. You don't think he'd be on everybody's side?
Mediator, I guess neutral. Just that like neutral presence. Be like, I can see your side and I can see your side, and then just leave it there.
I feel like I'm like
I don't know.
Let's come back to Mom. I'd love to hear what you think about this.
Gosh, I don't know. Yeah, I think he would be. I think he would be very good at listening to what people were saying, and then maybe having a side, and then being able to convince everybody else to be on that side.
Yeah.
And so everyone would feel like
everyone
would feel like they won.
I feel like he would be you know, there's a few people who are like this, few people aren't. I won't name names. I feel like he would be open to, you know, being convinced that he were wrong.
Oh. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, like because you said he would listen and he would like genuinely hear you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, in his 2 years, I mean, he was definitely that's a very early to sort of see where he'd go on that. I mean, he was just starting to get a little bit of that mischievousness. I'd say, yeah, there was a little bit of mischievousness. I remember him. It was. I think we were at IKEA or something, and we were leaving, and he was running away. And so this is, you know, in a big public place. And of course I'm, you know, as mom, like, you know, don't do that. And he turned around, he walked a little bit ahead of me, and then he turned around, and he had that little mischievous look, you know, looked back at me with a little grin, and then just started running.
Yeah. Just like knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah. I was like, I know what I'm doing right now. Cause you know, so that was just sort of beginning. So I don't know. It's hard to predict.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you know, and that's something that I've been thinking about over the years. And I think sometimes this happens when someone passes away, you tend to talk about the good things that they did, whatever age that person passes away, you honor them, you celebrate them. And I think over time, that's kind of what you remember. And I guess I've always been like, a little worried, to be honest, that we were putting him on such a pedestal that he was this perfect kid that you guys could never be like, or that, you know, that the sense that he was better than you because of that, or, you know, or we loved him more than, you know, and I'd love to kind of hear if you've ever thought that or wondered that. And so that's been a concern a little bit, like back, you know, and I don't know if we've ever even talked about it, but just as we're talking about here now, it's very much on my mind, but also would want to say, as Mom said, like he wasn't perfect. Like he was amazing. Like he was so beautiful, such a joy filled, you know, as people have heard, if you haven't, the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about the Carnival and Lucas and the whole story. But yeah, I remember like, you know, I had him at the park one time and you were out and I had to carry him back like a football because he was bawling. He didn't want to come home. And, you know, there were things like that happened too. We had to say no. He was a regular kid. You know, he didn't always listen, though he listened well, you know, all those sorts of things. But I guess, so yeah, so I wonder, have you ever felt, what has your experience of that been over the years? Because I think it can happen. You put someone like that on a pedestal a little bit and only remember the good things. And
I've never felt that you loved him more, especially because you guys have been so loving to all three of us, like for all of our lives. I always saw it as more of a way to remember Lucas and remember his life. And then especially like highlighting a kid each year, like it was always about more than just Lucas. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say the same. Like that never really crossed my mind. And I never really thought.
Well, it's because
that way.
I think it's because whenever you guys told us about Lucas, you didn't sit us down and tell us about our little brother. We asked, or sorry, our older brother,
big brother,
big brother. We asked about him. We wanted to know about the the good things about
and also
Lucas.
Like Cam said, like I mean you guys are so loving to us too, obviously, and sort of really always highlight and celebrate our good qualities too, like, you know, so it was just
you guys have told me multiple times,
if there's, you know, 3 characteristics I could pull from Lucas, I could pull 3 for me, 3 for Cam, 3 for Caleb that, you know, you guys highlight and talk about all the time as well. So yeah, no, it never really crossed my mind. I totally feel equal in that sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, and I think most carnivals, you know, when we watch the slideshow and memories of Lucas and another child who's a that's been part of it, I think most times I've found myself obviously checking in with you guys, and there's always hugs and tears and laughs and all those sorts of things, but also trying to say, hey man, you know, like we love you guys just as much. And I just think, I'm glad you know that.
Oh, yeah.
Glad you know that. That's awesome.
I do I do remember one thing in your book. I know I read it a couple times, and it was always like one of the first chapters was, or like the introduction. I wasn't born yet, so it was like, you know, to our daughter Leah, we're praying for you, and like some stuff like that, just like complimenting. And I wasn't there. I was like, why aren't I? Because I was younger.
I think it does say though to any future children.
Yes, I was.
You had to cover the base.
We did, because we did. You know, didn't want to.
Didn't want to leave you out, even though you weren't around yet.
Yeah.
So what about the carnival? Like, let's talk about that, because that's been a big part of your life, and certainly I think that's where you've heard a lot about Lucas and that kind of thing. So what's the carnival been like for you guys? And you know, I know Katrina, when we first, I think God blessed us with the idea out of the carnival, out of this loss, and what to do with some resourcing as we've shared that story. But we had a piece for the kids that was very important around the carnival too. We wanted this to be a good time for you guys. That was a byproduct of it, if you will. This could work really well, because instead of just being sad, like at a time where we're remembering, you know, his loss and what happened in Alberta, this would be a time where we could have fun as a family and remember him at the same time.
Yeah, and I wonder what it's been like for you over the years, because obviously, you know, when you're younger versus, you know, as you were older, like what that experience was like. I know the day was always so busy for us. Like we always wanted to be able to enjoy it with you, and you did better.
I did enjoy it with
you. Did better. You did better than I did. I don't know why, but you were always able to. You know, I think there was a couple of years where I was able to get in there and do something with you.
One of the things I loved about the carnival was it's actually not hard to hide when there's like 3,000 to 5,000 people around. Yeah. And so I could hide with you guys and go off to the sports arena and do the obstacle course, and no one could find me. I know, like, you know, people would become, oh, we were trying to find it. Like, oh, well, you know. I know our team would have walkie-talkies, right? Like, so we could just like, I do not want a walkie-talkie. People will find me. It's fine. I just want to have some fun with my kids. What's it been like for you?
I always looked forward to it. Like, always have. Even as I got older, it was always like it's a highlight of the summer. Like, it's a huge day. Always looking forward to it. Like, I would never dread it. Like, it's always so fun. Like, and you know, that's where all of our friends would come, our cousins, like any family members. Like, I always even just loved, especially as I did get a little older, like it was one of the few times of year we would see like some of our extended family members, like Rick and Maura, like Dad, your aunt and uncle, like would come down from Grand Bend. It was so great to see them, and we so rarely would see them. So I enjoyed it for so many reasons, but it's something I always looked forward to and had fun at.
I definitely loved the people that it like brought together and just getting to see everybody. But yeah, my experience definitely changed a lot, like from when I was young to when I was older. Like what I remember when I was young, in the morning, we would always get there super early, and I would help Mike Rodway set up the sports area, taking like everything out to the like far side of the park. And then once we were done that, I would like kind of find like my friends like Daniel O'Connell and whoever was there, and we would like be running around like maniacs, like
just trying to get everything in.
Do every single activity that was there. Big bags of candy and stuff. And then once I got older, I'd always volunteer at the basketball shoot. That was like my big spot. I remember one year I won a duck at the basketball shoot.
Oh yes,
like this massive yellow duck.
There was big controversy around those stuffed animals.
Well, I really wanted to keep this big duck, and people kept on throwing it out.
No, dad.
People. What do you mean by people?
Because I feel like it was multiple people that took it from my room.
Dad brought it back.
Tried to donate it back to the carnival.
Yeah, Dad brought it.
How long did we have it?
And then he won it
I
a
don't know.
second time.
I forget.
And
I won it again. I won it back.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
That was funny.
That's funny.
That was funny.
But yeah.
For me, it's just like I was thinking about this question when you kind of sent the talking points to us, and it's like it was so funny. Like it's all just one fantastic blur. Like there are definitely like pinpointed memories that I can think of, but it's all like, 'cause I mean it's similar every year, but just like when I think of it, I just think of hanging with the same friends, going around everywhere, the climbing, the rock climbing was a big thing for me.
Yes.
That was so
every year.
Yeah. I've actually just loved like how official it felt. I mean, it was so official. Like it's a huge event. Like people all over the community know about it, and it's like, yeah, that was our brother. Like it's our event. Like my parents run it. It's like no big deal. I have a T-shirt with my name on it. Like, I just loved how official it was. Like being a part of like the whole process. Like I actually loved having to be there so early, and we stay so late, and it's just. And then we'd have like a little party afterwards.
Yeah, and it was cool getting to see all like the behind the scenes and stuff, and all like the effort that went into it, and like getting all the volunteers together and everything. Like I always like seeing that was always really cool.
Yeah. But the only thing for me on the volunteer part was, I think maybe only in the past 2 years I've actually volunteered, and I think last year I did a bit more. I got the yellow shirt.
Yeah.
And I feel like this year it would have really been like I really got into the hard work of the carnival. So I've kind of missed out on that so far.
You could take on more responsibility. And be doing right.
It's cool because you mentioned about the behind the scenes stuff. That's cool, Cam, because people don't see that necessarily. People come for the day, and that's great, and that's all they're supposed to see. Have a great time, and and be blessed and inspired, and remember the appreciation of life. A little boy, another child, will always remember like all as part of it. But the behind the scenes stuff, like there was a ramp up to the carnival that within our house, was huge.
Yeah, like
so what are some of your memories around that? Because there's lots to learn and hold on to there too. I think.
Well, there's always the Friday, like the Friday before.
Big day.
So that was almost just as exciting as the actual day, at least for me. Like I always loved it. We would have like a big lunch at the church, the big potluck lunch with everybody. Nana would come and like cook a ton of food, and we'd have a big
well, that was because that was actually the day when a lot of people came. You like that? Like was talking about.
It was all the planning, and that's
day.
Like. Our friends and family.
Yeah, that's when everybody actually came. That's when we got to kind of
so it's just a big setup prep day. Like, so the whole carnival team is there, but then some of those extended family members or friends who were a little more involved, but not quite carnival team, they would all come on that Friday, and we'd just be getting everything ready, just going around doing whatever we needed to do. And it was just sort of the start of it, the start of the carnival weekend. Because, I mean, the O'Connells, like I don't know how many people still remember the O'Connells, but they would always come for the carnival specifically, and they'd come on the Friday, and it was just the start of the party for us with like their kids, like just hanging out, and they'd stay over and then be there for the carnival the next day. So
I think it was like the kickoff to the weekend.
Yeah,
exactly. But like even like it was cool, like even like months before, it slowly kind of starts to we start getting ready. Like we have the planning team come over to our house, and we have the meeting there, and then we usually have like another meeting, and then even like the week leading up to the carnival, we're talking about it, starting to get things ready. And there's just
up.
Like there's a mood, a vibe in our house the week leading up to the carnival. It gets me excited for it, to be honest.
Cool. What about you, Katrina?
Well, I mean, because it's a quick turnaround from school, it was always, school is done, and it was kind of, okay, good. Now I can think about whatever I need to think about for carnival. And, always that little heightened sense of not panic, but just, you're on high
Yeah.
energy mode because, this has to happen and this has to happen, and making sure have I remembered everything, and you're collecting, we would often get a lot of, the donations would be coming here for stuffed animals and doing those things, getting the t-shirts if we needed the t-shirts, and doing the t-shirt run, and and the volunteers. And that was always the week of too would be a really big
like push for that.
Yeah, and it never failed that by the time Friday came, we had more people than we had spots for. We were doubling up, and of course there's a week earlier it's like, oh my gosh, we don't have enough volunteers. And then all of a sudden, whoo. So that was you're always in that sense of that period of so for me that was a focus, right, of the week before the carnival. And depending on, because it was the second Saturday in July, so sometimes it was July 8th, which is a really quick turnaround, and then the latest it was July 14th, I think. So so different periods of different years, there was a little more calm, but some years when it was like that first week, it was pretty intense.
Panic mode.
And I mean, just over the years too. I mean, I think over the years, just how things have changed. That was interesting. I mean, you guys wouldn't remember when you were small, but like how we used to do the volunteer thing. We'd mail out letters and right? Not emails. It was mail. I had to go get stamps, and oh gosh, it was a big expense too.
Like, because it's been 20 years, right?
So things have
wasn't
changed.
all online then.
No, not at all. And even when it was going online, still like sort of getting used to that, and then getting everybody else used to that. So it was just different years. And then even for you guys at the carnival too, I mean, my memories of you, especially when you were little, and I may not see you, someone usually went around with you, when you were smaller, and it wasn't necessarily me or dad. And the end of the day, then, I think each of you probably, we have a picture of you like just passed out asleep on some room in the church while we cleaned up, and you guys are just like totally passed out because you had a great day.
One of the things that comes back to me as we're talking now is just how it evolved over the years, how it grew over the years. And again, you guys wouldn't remember it when it first started. Like, we had no idea the first year we did it if it was going to work. Our fear was that no one would come. And I think maybe 300, maybe up to 500, like that first year, which actually blew us away. Like we had, and then what it became over the years, it just naturally continued to grow. And like I said earlier, up to 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people if it was a nice day. And just the way it sort of naturally grew over the years and evolved. And I think, something like a behind the scenes change too was when we first started it, like there was just a few of us that were a part of it. That's often the way things start. And I remember the first few years, like honestly, I didn't like the carnival because I was just so busy. I was doing everything, and then after a while, like we just developed this team that was so good. And I just want to thank the team. They know who they are. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, for both the production and like the just what this team was able to accomplish and get done. It just continues to amaze me. It's one of the best examples I'll ever have of a team operating really well.
Absolutely.
People knowing their roles, trusting each other, getting her done, and believing in the reason why we were doing it, to be a blessing to the community and honor the gift of life, including a little boy.
And I loved always bringing the ideas to the table. Like every year, it was never just you or me. Everybody was always thinking like, oh, we could do this to make it better, or we could do this. And I just loved that because it was just, incredible,
Yeah. And there's just the way it did become, I think as Leah said earlier, a community event where it was absolutely has been at the heart of our church. We'll talk about hope in a bit, but that's been at the heart of who we are as a church. and a signature event for us, but also for the whole of the city. And it was really cool over time. Like, it's almost like that snowball just rolling down the hill and getting bigger every year. And the people that would get on board for it and be a part of it. And so, you know, it would be fun to talk a bit about what's a memory that you have of the Carnival. I know there's so many of others that became a part of this over the years, and unique things that they did to be a part of it because they wanted to. You know, one that for me is Andrew's funeral home. Like, they were a part of it from very early on, and that's where Lucas's, that's where he was. Like, it was Andrew's funeral home that we used. The service was obviously here, but they were right with us, and they were a gift and a blessing to us right from the very beginning, you know. But then they wanted to be part of the carnival, like whatever happened. So what they did every year was, they didn't want to just give us money, which is great. We were glad to take money because to offer a free carnival, which I would say would be one of my number one things. I love that it was free. It was always meant to be free, a gift to the community. But they wanted to come each year as a staff, and they did the cotton candy every year. And like, I just love that they went to town and did that, you know, every year. Yeah. But what are some of the things that you guys
even
remember?
some of your friends that got to volunteer if you got to that point?
Yeah. I mean, so many of friends came.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And got to experience it.
Yeah. Like, over the years, like we said, as the people came, even like more and more friends came from school. People I didn't even know. Like, I knew of, but like not friends with.
Well, I think, like even as you got into baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh,
the
you're
team
here?
volunteered one year as like, and that was kind of like a team thing.
Yeah.
To do, which was very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That was neat.
I mean, and we've sort of mentioned it a few times, just how we sponsor different families every year. And I don't remember their names. Maybe you guys do, but we sponsored one child, and then the mom was just obviously so inspired and loved being a part of it, and then came back next year and wanted to offer nail painting.
The nails. Yes.
So then we had a tent where people could go and get their nails painted for free at the carnival. And she just like loved that for so many years, brought her own people to help out, and was just so passionate about offering that. So it was cool to see, you know, providing this carnival, trying to bring hope to everyone in the community, but especially these families, and then seeing that even being turned around and them taking that hope and being able to like then offer it out to even more people. So that was really cool to see.
That's a great memory and example. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to give a little shout out to Nana.
Nice.
Because she would always work so hard for her cookie booth. Yeah. She would always fill up our freezer. And
months in advance.
Yeah. And even with us eating some of them.
Yeah.
It's a very dangerous place to have them in our freezer.
But yeah, and then all these cookies would like sell out like that. Like, people love them, and
I was next in line to learn that struggle. I'm pretty sure if COVID hadn't happened, she was passing the baton to me to make all of her cookies.
After the cookie recipe. You probably should even say this here. Like, people are going to be after you now.
Exactly.
I know.
Oops.
But I mean, you know, it was quite amazing when you think about it. Like to make 850 to 1,000 chocolate chip cookies each year for the carnival. And I mean, yeah, like you said, Cam, like one of the gifts for us was they were always stored in our freezer, which mean we, you know, Nan always built in a little bit of leakage, like she knew we were going to eat some. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, when you were mentioning the carnival meetings, that was usually the first carnival meeting with the team.
That's what I was thinking.
We usually had to pull out the cookies, you know, pass those around.
And I have to say, as you guys got older and started to know that the cookies were there, they disappeared at a little bit of a quicker rate. But
Definitely.
We still could blame it on you easily.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was the chief cookie stealer for sure. I mean, you know, even some of my firefighter friends would come by with the fire truck looking for cookies sometimes out of our freezer. Yeah. I mean, that's another the fire department's been the fire truck was there every year, and the guys, you know, love to come
and we always love to remember the one year where we actually needed their services because the barbecues got a little too greasy.
So a little grease fire in the barbecue.
Yes. I don't know. Yeah, you guys might have been too young, but yeah, there's a great picture of I mean, it's hilarious. I think it's Barb Wasteman, I think Todd. They're standing back behind the barbecue. The flames are way above their heads, and they're standing back there and they're laughing. So, you know, yeah, we took time to take a picture of it. But yes, it was nice that we had our firefighter friends on hand.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, at the heart of the carnival, obviously, it was offering hope, and it was a way for us, like right from the beginning, to try to share this story and remember Lucas. And there was just an element of hope that was always part of the fabric of the carnival. But it would be awesome to talk a bit about how you guys have experienced hope and God rising up in the midst of the carnival over the years.
Yeah, well, I just kind of talked about how I saw my friends, more and more of them, start to come to the carnival, and that was definitely seeing hope. But I can't remember which friend exactly, but I think there was a couple actually that said, so wait, when they asked like what it was about, so, and I told them, they said, wait, so your big brother died however many years ago, and you're now doing a celebration every year. And I was like, yeah, like, because it was normal to me, but it was for these people that were just hearing about it. It was amazing that this amazing event celebration could come from death.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think that is something that would be very unique. I mean, I guess for your experience, because it has been an annual event. And so we have continually revisited that celebration, which would be, not something that many people
it
would
is so
experience.
foreign for so many people. Like, yeah, the amount of people that I would end up telling or inviting, or it comes up in a conversation, they're like, what?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There
Like,
definitely were a lot of people who were kind of caught off guard by,
especially with how
what it
big
was
it
for.
is. Because it's like,
Yeah.
oh, a cute little carnival. And I'm like, yeah, like, 4,000 or 5,000 people. Like, what? Oh my God. Yeah. But I mean, where I definitely see hope the most, and I already sort of mentioned it a couple times, is just the sponsoring of other families. Like, I just think that was such a great idea. I don't know how that necessarily came to be, but like, I just think that was so important to offer that for other families who had lost a child, because that's so painful. And just to be able to like almost share in that with other people, like, one, it just gives them another couple to talk to about that experience. Like, that alone is hopeful, I'm sure. But to have this whole day where they can invite their friends and their family to have like another celebration and turn their tragedy into hope, is just so special. And to see, like, when you see their family out in the park in the day and just see them all smiling and laughing and have a good time, like, if it was just for that family, and you see that with all the families, and you're like, if it was just for that one person, it's worth it. But especially those families who came and had lost a child as well, I think that's just so hopeful.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely one of the favorite pieces of the carnival for me too, Leah. And it's really, I don't know how it happened. Like, it wasn't part of the plan when we first started the carnival. This is one of those God things. It just rose up after the first carnival. Go ahead.
I think we found that the carnival was such an expression for us and a way to share and celebrate Lucas's life with people. Obviously, it was our church family, and so a lot of people, were sad and grieved the loss of Lucas, and so it was a way for us to come together and share in the memories and the joy that he had. And then doing the slideshow of the photos was always important, because we needed to remember what the day was about. And so we began the carnival prior to, for the team and all the volunteers who were able to come early. We always started with that slideshow. And I think what we found for us, it doesn't matter that your child is gone. You're always a proud parent. And we were proud parents. And so this was our way of being able to still be proud parents and share our child with other people and share in that memory. And so I think that's what we wanted to offer. We wanted to offer that opportunity to other families. And we also did some grief counseling, particularly with other parents who'd lost children. And so you start to meet these other families and you think, I think that's what we'd love for you to be able to share in this day. It was so healing and powerful for us to be able to do that. We'd like to offer that to someone else, because there are sadly many people who have lost children. And so I think we just wanted to give that opportunity. And so that's how it began.
Yeah, it was just so clear after the first one. We just have to invite other families to experience this as well and find the same hope that we did in that first carnival. And we were broken like that first, but it was like you said, Leah, it was like only God can turn something so tragic into like a weekend where it was one of our favorite weekends of the whole year, in spite of the fact that we're remembering a loss that will be there for the rest of our lives, and to enable other families to experience that hope as well. Like it's just, it still amazes me.
And I think that beginning, that opening time when we watched the slideshow and it was heavy, right? I mean, I remember one year, and I think for each of you too, as every year you were a different age, you would take that in differently too. You would see things differently. I remember one year you were really impacted.
Yeah, I don't know why. Just one year, like something just like clicked for me.
Yeah.
And I saw it in a way that I had never seen it before. And it's like, man, like I kind of remember what was going through my head. It's like I really wish I was able to get to know Lucas.
Right.
Like,
yeah, I've thought that so many times.
I never met him, but I loved him so much.
Yeah.
Just from the stories I've heard and the slideshow and everything. And that really just like clicked for me that time.
Yeah. So I think that was also something that was important for us as a way for us to share him with you all, because he was our first child. So that's, that was how we became parents. And I think that's how we began the appreciation of the gift of children. And so I think, that was what one of the motivations was, to be able to share him with you, and for you to know that, this is where our journey as parents began, and our parenting heart began, and you are all, just building on that. And so I think it's been pretty interesting to, like I said, for you to have seen it over the years and experienced it at different age levels and different things, and how heavy that could be at the beginning. But I think that's what makes the rest of the day so amazing.
Oh yeah.
Because you're looking at it here, like, this is so hard and so sad and so heavy. And then we added another family whose story would be equally hard, even if you don't know them.
And new.
Yeah.
It's fresh.
Exactly. Yeah. And so you take that all of that, and then you go put this energy into this day where you're trying to offer so much joy. I think that's for me the hope, is that you can be in this really hard, really painful place, and God can pull you into a place of joy. And so just that those two.
Very contrast.
Such a clear, such a clear reality of from death to life, where God brings life. That's resurrection, and we experienced it every year. And that park was just so filled with life, and we all knew why we were doing it, and then how that would always flow into Sunday morning. That was always a gift too, like how the carnival is such a big event and so many people are involved that at least half the people in the church on a Sunday were a part of the day, and everyone's tired and burnt. And still carrying, kids are still wearing their shirts, and you got whatever on their face, and
face
stuffed
paint.
animals coming dragging it behind them. But there was this life from the park that would just flow into our Sunday morning worship experience, and it was just that's resurrection, God bringing life in the midst of where there's been death. And just incredible. Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah. So, one of the things that I know we've been talking about as a family, and not even sure how to ask the question or talk about it because we're not really sure. And then, you know, every time we have a conversation like this, I don't want the carnival to end. You know what I mean? It's so like, how can you? But you know, we're thinking that it might be the time. COVID certainly had an impact, and even before COVID, things seemed to be. You know, we didn't actually have the 20th because that would have been last year. We had the big Facebook, you know, hour-long extravaganza with people from all across the country that were a part of our life and a part of this story. But you know, as you guys know, we're trying to wrestle and discern and make a decision on what the future is around the carnival. And yeah, I mean, we're just like sitting around the kitchen table here, guys, talking about it. So what are some of your
It's hard for me to even process that thought because it hasn't fully happened either way. So yeah, I don't even fully know.
I mean, anytime I think about it ending, it makes me sad.
Of course. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, like, especially like you said, after we have a conversation like this, like it is just such a great day, and it's all we've ever known. Yeah, at least the three of us.
Yeah, it's been around
the
since
second
we were born.
Saturday of July for our entire lives has been the carnival, and it's hard to imagine that like not being a thing anymore. But I mean, all good things must come to an end at some point.
I feel like
it can't go on forever. And I mean, I'd thought about that before as well, especially in the last couple of years, even before we were talking about it. Just like, how long will mom and dad want to do this? I mean, the carnival team as well. Like everyone gets older. Like how long? How long do they decide?
That's not true.
How long do they keep it going? And I actually remember, like 2 years ago, Teresa and I, so our cousin, like coming to one of the carnival meetings more intentionally to be like, we're gonna pick up on everything that everybody does, and we're gonna figure out how we can make the new budding team. We'll find someone to take over every position because we've got to keep it going, but it's got to stay like in the family or friends who like actually know the mission or knew Lucas. Like, you know, we're going to keep it going. We're going to keep it alive. And I mean, obviously with COVID, it's so hard to even like, because that was the last carnival we had in like before COVID. So now I don't know where that's at, but yeah, I would love to see it continue, but it's also hard because then how long does that continue, right? So but it does make me sad.
Obviously, it's super sad because it really is all we've ever known. But I feel like it creates opportunity for something new to come. Like obviously, we're not just gonna forget about Lucas, and because we're not doing the carnival anymore. So I feel like maybe it's not as big as what we do for the carnival, but something will come. In the future that we can still like appreciate and remember Lucas.
That day will always be something for us.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be remembering the carnival. It'll be remembering Lucas and everything we've done.
If we did nothing, like obviously COVID this past year, it was different. It made sense that the carnival wasn't happening. But if it was a regular year, which fingers crossed this year coming up will be,
like and next year.
2022. And nothing happens on like the week the carnival would be, I'd just be like, what the heck are we doing right now? Why are we sitting around?
Yeah.
We should be setting up obstacle courses and you know, climbing rock climbing.
We'll get a rock wall just for you, honey?
Thank you. Doing splash tanks. It would be so weird.
Yeah. It's the conversation we have to have, and I mean the park has been renamed from Leander Park to
exactly. So
like the Lucas Holtom Children's Park. Like that's part of the legacy, special. And that's cool. And the carnival, it never really was just about Lucas. It not only was about other families, but it was right from the very beginning. The more we realized that it was about God blessing us in the midst of tragedy, and God was blessing all kinds of people, thousands of people, in fact. Because that was one of the things for me. People would come to the carnival, and it would cause them to talk about losses that they've had. It would cause. I had conversations with parents whose 5-year-olds was talking about death for the first time and had lost a grandparent. It was just opening up all of that, and people were experiencing life in so many ways. It wasn't just us, and it became a part of the mission of our church. where we really were able to be a blessing to the community, which is always our job, our assignment as followers of Jesus as a church. And so that's become a big part as well. And you know, so that's another piece that, of course, we never want to lose that. That's part of who we are, you know, as well. So I don't know, man. I love what Cam said. I think this is an opportunity for resurrection right here. We'll see what God brings up. We see what God raises up. Even if the carnival does come to an end, something else will rise up in its place, and that's what God does, brings life.
Yeah.
Cool.
There are many conversations to be had, but I would feel almost like it would feel wrong to not do anything for me.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I would,
Do
I would
something.
be sick.
All right, let's. Well, we don't want to end on Caleb being sick.
No.
So just real quick, this is like shotgun. This is
with.
shotgun. We're gonna let's go. Your favorite memory, just real quick, just
Of what?
Just of the carnival.
Carnival.
Of the carnival.
Favorite carnival memory.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Randomly, just go.
I got it.
Yeah.
I remember dunking Dad in the dunk tank one year.
Oh, yeah.
And
I did that
that
a
was
few
always
times.
fun.
I
And
can't
did you
say that was my
did you
only
actually
memory.
throw the ball, or did you run up and hit the thing?
I probably missed a bunch of times and then ran up and hit the thing with
I
my
think
hand.
so.
I can't say that's my favorite memory because I probably did it a couple times. Gosh.
There's so many, and I probably have a way better memory. But the first year that I actually sang at the carnival and was part of the entertainment, there are a few years and many little stories I could share about getting prepared for that. But definitely the first year I did that was very exciting to finally be up on the stage to perform.
I did the magic show.
Magic show.
That was
so funny.
Yes.
Oh,
That
my
was
gosh.
awesome.
That
It was so
awesome.
unprofessional, but it was still so
It
good.
was so funny. I wish we had that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Katrina?
Just you
Yeah.
up there?
Oh,
No,
my
it was
goodness.
me and Johnny. Shout out.
Yeah.
You're probably not listening.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
We'll
Yeah.
send him.
Yeah. Oh gosh. That's really hard.
Okay,
Come
well,
on now.
we'll buy you some time. So
Yeah.
one of mine again. I like Leah. There's so many, but one of mine is there was a year where the ponies we found out like on the Friday night.
Friday night.
That I forget something happened and the ponies weren't able to come, and man, like that was central to the carnival. Like that was the kids
Free
loved
pony
the
rides.
ponies. So
We can't
we're
not have
calling everywhere and anywhere to try to get ponies for the next day, and we finally got one. And it was just like, oh man, like anyway.
That was pretty incredible.
The other one, the other was when the basketball net broke just before the carnival was to start.
Oh yeah.
And I think it was like Blake Broker and Carmen McClellan. They went and got a basketball net
I
and
went
brought
with
it. And I
them.
remember them driving in.
It was ours.
Just as the carnival was about to start. It was like, oh, that's cool, man. People coming together and making it happen.
Yeah, that was
And the other for me, sorry, we're going on here, but the other was how quickly not only the carnival got set up in the park with that army of volunteers, but even more so, how quickly it got taken down, especially if it was raining.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And that was most.
Amazing.
I think that was the most recent one. The the year before COVID. It started raining.
Yeah,
Okay.
it happened a few times.
What's your memory?
Well, no, I was gonna.
Oh my
Okay, I'm gonna
gosh.
say the like overall the memories of like watching the weather, right? So like because every year
That's your favorite memory.
No, it's not favorite memory.
Most prominent.
Yeah, a prominent memory that watching the weather and how amazing our weather was.
Yeah.
Every single year except for maybe the second year, I think it was like this rainy kind of nasty
like
But
thing.
we never had to,
but we never had to
just as we
cancel.
cleaned up.
Always
We
like
never had to
good
cancel.
enough. It was always good
Absolutely.
It was like
Even if it
just as we
rained
were done.
at 2:30 or 3 o'clock, it was still, we got it in, and we generally had amazing weather, and so it was always like, whew, okay, that was a big relief. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, guys, man, it was so cool to have this conversation. And,
This was fun.
We'll continue it later.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
It's not done yet.
absolutely. And I think probably the appropriate way to close this one is to pray. Let's pray give thanks for some of these incredible memories, and there's so many more. And people who are watching, listening, are going to have their own as well, which is awesome. But also for discernment that and whatever happens, I love it, Cam. That something will rise up. God will rise up, and that's a cool place for us to land on as we finish here today. And hopefully that's helpful and hopeful for all those that are watching and listening. Yeah, let's pray, guys. Yeah. Loving and gracious God, lots of thoughts and lots of feelings as we've shared some time together here, reminiscing and chatting about an event that you have been at the heart of all these years. We thank that you are a God of resurrection, that you really can and do bring life where there is loss. You bring hope where there is despair. We pray that for whoever is watching and listening, that they would experience that, whatever it is that they're facing. We thank you for the many, many, many people that have been a part of putting this very special event on over the years. And as we discern what is next, we just entrust that all to you and know that you are a good God. You're so faithful that you will make things clear and you will rise up in new ways as you always do. So thanks again for this time and for your presence here. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks, guys. That was more than fun. Look forward to continuing at home. And just want to say thanks, everyone, for joining us on the Good News podcast today. So glad you could join us for this exclusive, if you will, with the Holtom family. I don't even know what that means. It just felt like a good thing to say it to you.
All right.
And, God bless you, and hope to see you again next time. Well, friends, I told you it was a dinner table conversation. Thanks for joining us. Felt like you were around the table with us today. And, as I think back to this conversation we just had, as I reflect on it, my goodness, the depth of thinking that goes on in your kids that you sometimes just aren't aware of. I was really grateful for that today. Personally, I had some emotion. You might have caught that, and that's normal. But I didn't see it coming, and it's partly the depth of life, the people that we've got to share our life with, and just the power of God working through this story, through this loss, but also through this rising up and good news and resurrection of a carnival that continued to bring life to this community and to each of us all through these years and in so many ways. So, man, lots to keep thinking about, lots to pray about, lots to celebrate. Glad that you could join us for it today. God bless you, friends. Again, if you could like this, if you could share this, if you could subscribe, if you want to check us out on Instagram, Good News with Jamie Holtom, all that would be helpful for growing the Good News family. But for today, thanks so much for being a part of it. God bless you.